Welcome to the Lessons with Lifecare podcast. I'm joined with Amber Musson-Thorp, or as I like to call her, the Oracle. She knows everything and everyone. And today we'll be discussing the compulsory insurance that will be coming in Qatar.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Amber Musson-Thorp. I'm Group Commercial Director for Lifecare. So I'm based in Qatar and I run the Qatar business, but I also manage the teams across Kenya and UAE for business development. I'm roughly around 20 years in medical insurance, 18 or so of those with the large international providers, and been with Lifecare just under 2 years now.
Hence why I call her the Oracle. So, obviously, the rules are changing. You are the expert on Qatar, have a lot of partners coming to speak to you as well. So, what's happening at the moment? I think there's been a delay.
Correct. Yes, there has. So when I first came to Qatar, which was just under 2 years ago, there was a state healthcare system. So that was under the Hamad healthcare system. So basically, as a company, as an individual in Qatar, you are able to come and just pay 100 riyals, which is around £25, 20 $30, and you have a year's worth of medical insurance
Oh,
under
wow.
the state healthcare system.
Why is that
So
going?
well, unfortunately, it's been running similar to how the UK NHS system has worked.
Right.
So we found overutilization. We found that people are having to wait too long for appointments. And on top of that, we had COVID, which I think brought this to the forefront because there has
Hmm.
been conversation regarding mandatory medical insurance for quite a while. Actually, Qatar tried to introduce it under the CHAB plan many years ago and then cancelled it and reversed that. So with between COVID, between the overutilization and really heavy sort of labour populations in Qatar, the decision was made to introduce compulsory medical insurance.
So that's going to, from my understanding, that will mirror similar to what they've done in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where a company will have to pay for the employees.
Correct. So it was announced in February 2021 that this would happen. Then in November 2021, they then announced that it would be rolled out within 6 months.
Okay.
That, of course, didn't happen. Because of that, the actual legal wording is not out. What we do know is that it's the responsibility of the company to cover the main employee if it's male and his spouse and up to 3 children. If the wife is working, then their company sponsors the lady and will only sponsor the husband if the husband is not working.
So what's the new dates to keep in mind?
It was supposed to happen in around April.
Okay.
That was delayed. The infrastructure for something like this is so huge that it just wasn't ready. And as I'm sure you're all aware, the World Cup is coming to Qatar. So we don't think that this will be happening before the World Cup. So it's definitely 2023. And from the insurer relationships we have and the conversations we've been having with the governing bodies, we expect it to probably be Q1 or Q2 2023.
Okay, and they're going to have, is it minimum requirements like in Dubai, you've got to have a certain amount for maternity and certain limits and
Again, the table of benefits hasn't been shared. Yeah.
nothing?
There was a very basic plan that was offered for just under 500 riyals, currently available at the moment, particularly for over 60s in Qatar, just to show that you have something. And that was mandated a while back. And that looks like, of course, inpatient and outpatient. There's no reference to maternity,
Okay.
but it does mean that you're restricted to a very small network and there's co-insurance and co-pays on there.
Well,
So
yeah, sorry.
we expect it to look something like that.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned network. What's the network like in Qatar?
You'll see a similar thing as what you see in the UAE. So there are the very high-end American kind of hospitals, international hospitals, and then which are all sort of central in Doha.
Hmm.
And then you have the kind of restricted networks which are further out in some of the industrial areas where a lot of the worker population tend to be based. And you can just tier it as you would do in Qatar. So you can either have the top end, the middle. There's one or two hospitals that are really famous for being the most expensive. They, of course, will not be covered under the mandatory
Of
medical
course.
insurance.
Of course. And in terms of the international players that are there, the insurance companies, who's available, who's come to enter the market?
So mandatory, of course, will be the Q companies. It will be the
Hmm.
Qatar-based companies, so probably not branches of international firms. So what will happen is the mandated insurance, the basic ones, which we expect to probably be around 1,000 riyals per person per year, will be just the local providers. That might be five or six. And then what we have is the international providers. So for those companies looking to tier it, they might offer the basic cover with those Q companies to begin with. Then there'll be other insurers that can do the middle tier, and then you will have international providers that might want to sell for your CEOs, for the top C-suite, or any truly international sort of expats that want coverage at home. In Qatar, actually, Lifecare brought most of the international players to Qatar. So for a long time, we were sole distributors and managing distributors for Bupa Global. It is now still one of our biggest providers. Also, we're sole distributors for Cigna, which is a large US firm. We're the sole distributors for United Healthcare, another tier 1 US firm. And just recently, we worked with Aetna. Aetna have recently exited the market, and now they are becoming one almost with Allianz. So they're the kind of key international providers, and then there's probably 15 to 18 local providers.
Amazing. Okay. So in terms of contacting you, what's the best way to contact you? Is it through Lifecare email, through LinkedIn? Are you going to give out your personal number?
Don't think I'll do that. No, they can contact us at any time. And actually, the thing to remember is most people, 90% of Qatar, are not insured.
Yeah.
So there are the 10% of people who already have insurance. But for most people, medical insurance is really complicated, tricky. They don't really understand it. We can give some really straightforward, basic advice in terms of what's needed for the compulsory plans. Or we can advise on tiering, we can advise on different products. All of our services are completely free. It's 100% complimentary. We basically go to all of the insurers for you. So you don't need to reach out to 5, 6 different people, work out what their terms mean and their medical advice. We'll do all of that for you. We'll then come back with a recommendation and talk you through what you would need to do. And then we then manage the entire scheme for you for the year, absolutely free of charge, along with offering many of our added value services. So you can contact us through the Lifecare website. You can contact us by coming into our office. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and of course I can share any details underneath this as a link if needs be.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Oracle, for coming in today.
Don't know about that.
That's all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.